We all agree Trey will be right? But technically, he's still 1% wrong for being under contract. So, in my case, I'm 100% right. So it should be a no-brainer. And in Trey's case, I think it should be a no-brainer too. I mean, he led 17.5 sacks for 2 years back-to-back. If I was the GM or I was the owner, take all my money. But I guess they don't operate like that. But
the Cincinnati Bengals just made sure their offensive firepower is locked and loaded. Joe Burrow, Ja'Marr Chase, T. Higgins, and Mike Gesicki are all in. So why does it feel like something's off? With all eyes on their high-powered offense, their defense is quietly slipping into crisis mode. Two of their most important players, Trey Hendrickson and rookie Shemar Stewart, haven't signed, and training camp is closing in fast. Could this be the crack that breaks a Super Bowl dream? Let's start with the offense because it's worth the praise. The Bengals paid Joe Burrow, their franchise quarterback, a record-breaking contract. They followed that by locking down Ja'Marr Chase and T. Higgins, giving Burrow the chemistry and weapons he needs to go toe-to-toe with anyone. Mike Gesicki was added as a reliable tight end option. The offense is deep, explosive, and experienced. But while the front office took care of the stars on offense, the defensive side has become the elephant in the room. Trey Hendrickson, one of the league's most dangerous edge rushers, is entering a contract standoff. Hendrickson led the league in sacks last season with 17.5, made first-team All-Pro, and was headed to his fourth consecutive Pro Bowl. He is the cornerstone of this pass rush, a guy who can change the course of a game on one play. Despite his dominance, Hendrickson turned down a new deal that reportedly would have paid him nearly $28 million per year. At 30 years old, he wants long-term security, and he hasn't been shy about his frustration. He skipped all mandatory OTAs and minicamp, even risking fines well into six figures. The Bengals have yet to meet his asking price, and things remain quiet on both sides. The standoff is starting to look more like a warning sign than a negotiation. The Bengals' defense is structured around Hendrickson's ability to get to the quarterback. Without him, their secondary gets exposed. Last year, they gave up over 430 points. That's not the kind of stat line you can carry into the postseason. So, missing your best pass rusher, that's not just a hole, it's a crater. Now enter Shemar Stewart. The Bengals used their first-round pick to bring in the 6'5" edge rusher out of Texas A&M. The expectation was for him to line up opposite Hendrickson, learn from a vet, and eventually become a star himself. Instead, Stewart hasn't even signed his rookie deal.
The Cincinnati Bengals select Shemar Stewart, defensive end, Texas A&M.
He showed up for rookie minicamp. He was present during team events, but he didn't take a single snap. Stewart's holdout is all about contract language. Specifically, the Bengals have inserted clauses that could void future guarantees under certain conditions. Stewart's agents aren't asking for more money, just equal protection compared to other rookies across the league. So far, the team hasn't budged.
I can't say what I really want to say, but it's their contract. They can do what they want with it.
What's your communication with Zach Taylor been like through this process?
We talk here and there. We all agree Trey will be right? But technically, he's still 1% wrong for being under contract. So, in my case, I'm 100% right. So it should be a no-brainer. And in Trey's case, I think it should be a no-brainer too. I mean, he led 17.5 sacks for 2 years back-to-back. If I was the GM or I was the owner, take all my money. But I guess they don't operate like that. But
has this experience soured your taste in the Bengals?
I'm not gonna say that. I mean, I'm still new here. We still have a long future ahead of us.
It's a bold move by a rookie, but not without reason. In recent years, the Bengals have had a reputation for adding legal language that benefits the team over the player. Stewart and his reps are drawing a line, but in doing so, they're also drawing heat. This puts the Bengals in a tough spot. If Hendrickson remains unsigned and Stewart doesn't show up for training camp, their edge depth becomes a serious issue. That puts a heavy load on players like Joseph Osai, who has shown promise but isn't built to be a full-time game changer yet. The Bengals could be forced to dip into free agency or trade capital to plug the holes. and that's not a great place to be just weeks before the season.
Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are the reason Shemar Stewart hasn't signed his rookie contract. And the Bengals try so hard not to let this get out. But I dig for my hard knocks. When it comes to the Cincinnati Bengals, we know one thing. Getting money out of them is dang near impossible. You have to basically be the very best of your position to get paid. Well, maybe not even then. We all know Trey Hendrickson's situation, right? He led the league in sacks with 17. 2 years in a row. And the Bengals are like, eh. But the Bengals are supposed to be straight, right? They said, Trey Hendrickson, you don't want to sign this lowball contract? Watch this. We're going to sign this athletic freak. The next Davion Clowney from Texas A&M. Shemar Stewart to replace you. Funny thing the Bengals tried to do to this rookie. A rookie they drafted with the 17th pick. They bring his contract out. Now the narrative the Bengals are running with and letting the media think is that Shemar Stewart is a greedy mofo that hasn't proven himself and wants a bunch of money. That's not the case, as the money is already laid out for drafted players. The Bengals put a clause in the contract that any void in the contract results in no pay for the rest of the guaranteed years. Usually if you do something that voids your contract, like crash a Lamborghini truck and leave the scene, Rashid Rice, you lose the pay for the year you did it. You don't lose every dollar of the contract. Shemar Stewart said, did Jamar Chase get this in his contract? No. Did T. Higgins get this in his contract? No. Am I signing this BS contract? No. And I love that he went out and controlled the narrative himself. He cooked the Bengals for who they were.
It's their contract. They can do what they want with it. I thought I'd be on the field by now. That's what I thought. I'm 100% right, so it should be a no-brainer. In Trey's case, I think it should be a no-brainer too. If I was the GM or I was the owner, take all my money.
From a locker room standpoint, things are tense. Joe Burrow, always the team leader, made it clear that while he supports Hendrickson's right to get paid, the absence is a distraction. That's rare honesty from a quarterback and speaks to the seriousness of the situation. The fan base isn't quiet either. They cheered the offensive deals, but they're now watching a defense get ignored. On social media, Bengals fans are calling out the front office for dragging their feet. National media has caught on too. ESPN's Adam Schefter has even said the Bengals are taking too long and risking locker room damage over something they could have handled earlier. Let's play out the scenarios. If Hendrickson doesn't get extended, he could still play out the year, but after that, he's likely gone. That's 17.5 sacks and countless pressures walking out the door. If Stewart doesn't sign, he risks losing the season entirely. And yes, technically he could re-enter the 2026 draft, but that would be a bold and risky move that few players have pulled off successfully. So what's the holdup? The Bengals front office is playing a dangerous game. They don't want to overpay for aging talent like Hendrickson, and they don't want to set a new precedent with Stewart's rookie deal. But this could easily backfire. In the name of cap discipline, they're risking their defense falling apart.
I can't say what I really want to say, but it's their contract. They can do what they want with it.
What's your communication with Zach Taylor been like through this process?
We talk here and there. We all agree Trey will be right? But technically he's still 1% wrong for being under contract. So in my case, I'm 100% right, so it should be a no-brainer. And in Trey's case, I think it should be a no-brainer too. I mean, he led 17.5 sacks for 2 years back-to-back. If I was the GM or I was the owner, take all my money. But I guess they don't operate like that. But
Has this experience soured your taste in the Bengals?
I'm not gonna say that. I mean, I'm still new here. We still have a long future ahead of us.
There's still time. Training camp is just around the corner. If both deals get done, this will be a short-lived drama. But the longer it drags, the deeper the crack grows. And for a team with legitimate Super Bowl dreams, cracks like this can become full-blown collapses when the games start counting. This Bengals team has one of the most stacked offenses in the league. Joe Burrow can win shootouts, but football isn't just about scoring more. It's about stopping people too. You need pressure off the edge. You need depth. You need rookies to contribute early. Right now, Cincinnati has none of that on the defensive front. Let's be clear, this is still a team that can go far. The talent is there. The coaching staff knows what they're doing, but the balance is off, and unless they fix it soon, they're putting themselves at a disadvantage. There's also the psychological impact. Every day this lingers is a day of questions in the locker room. Players wonder if they'll be supported when their own contracts come up. Coaches wonder who they can count on. That doubt adds pressure that no game plan can erase. The Bengals can't afford distractions, not in a year where the AFC is loaded with powerhouse teams. Every practice without Hendrickson or Stewart is a missed opportunity. Every media session focused on their absence takes attention away from building a championship team. And here's something else: momentum. Teams that win big usually have clean off seasons. Drama like this, it tends to linger. Even if deals get done, the memory sticks. The fan base remembers who got paid and who didn't. Players remember how negotiations were handled. Imagine the message it sends if Hendrickson walks after leading the league in sacks, or if Stewart ends up re-entering the draft after refusing to suit up. That's not just a bad look, it's a ripple effect that could change how future stars view this franchise. The Bengals have done so much right in recent years. They've built a young, exciting core. They've drafted smart. They've created a real identity. But that progress can slip away fast if foundational players feel undervalued. The time to act is now, before training camp becomes a circus, before frustration becomes friction, before missed practices turn into missed games. Imagine walking into training camp without your best pass rusher and your top rookie. That's not just a slow start, that's giving every opponent a head start. So what do you think? Should the Bengals give Hendrickson the deal he wants? Is Stewart right to hold out over contract language, or is the team being smart by holding the line? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Smash that like if you think Cincinnati can still pull it together, and don't forget to subscribe, because this season, the Bengals story is just getting started. Darren Waller just pulled off one of the most shocking moves in recent NFL history. The tight end who retired at 31 is now back in the league at 33. From retirement to comeback, the NFL world is buzzing with this unprecedented turn of events. The Miami Dolphins acquired Darren Waller from the New York Giants. The Giants received a 2026 sixth-round pick in exchange for Waller and a conditional 2027 seventh-round pick. Waller signed a one-year contract with Miami worth up to $5 million. Drew Rosenhaus and Robert Bailey, Waller's agents, confirmed the trade according to ESPN. The timing is absolutely stunning. This trade happened just one day after the Dolphins traded Jonnu Smith to the Pittsburgh Steelers. That blockbuster deal involved multiple Pro Bowlers, including cornerback Jalen Ramsey and safety Minkah Fitzpatrick. What makes this even more incredible? While Waller is stepping directly into Smith's role as the Dolphins' primary tight end. Waller retired in June 2024 after 8 NFL seasons. He cited waning passion for football as his primary reason for stepping away. The former Pro Bowler was going through a divorce from WNBA star Kelsey Plum at the time. He wanted to focus on his music career as a rapper. But there's a deeper story here. Waller experienced a terrifying medical scare in November 2023 that changed everything. He spent 3.5 days in a hospital, unable to stand up, use the bathroom, or even feed himself.
I think nobody in the public probably knows. Last season in New Jersey, we played the Jets on October 29th. I got hurt that game. And then the following week, the Giants were playing the Raiders in Vegas. I started to feel like this fever coming on. And I'm like, the fever starts to build, start to get the chills and stuff like that. But then, by the time I pulled into my parking garage at my condo and get out the car, I'm shaking, pretty violently, uncontrollably, to where I was like, this is a little weird, a little different. This one's just going to be a little bit more difficult than before, I guess.
The next morning was even worse. Waller said he couldn't breathe in his bed. He called 911, paramedics responded, and his hospital nightmare began. While he never disclosed the specific diagnosis, he called it a very scary situation that forced him to reevaluate his entire life. This wasn't Waller's first battle with serious health issues. He has been public about his struggles with addiction throughout his career. A overdose turned his life around for the better. He has since used his experience with addiction and rehabilitation to help others facing similar challenges. The Giants traded a third-round draft pick to acquire Waller from the Raiders in March 2023. They expected the former Pro Bowler to add explosive receiving ability to their passing attack. Instead, they got one of the most disappointing seasons in recent memory. Waller played only 12 games for the Giants in 2023. He caught 52 passes for 552 yards and just 1 touchdown. He missed time with hamstring injuries that had plagued him for years. The performance was described as a shell of his former self. But here's the shocking part. Waller revealed exactly when he decided to quit on the Giants.
I don't know if I've shared this with anybody, but I knew I was retiring when we played in Buffalo. The Giants we were playing there. It was a game where it was really controversial because one of the guys held me at the end. They didn't call it. It was in the first quarter of the game. We were running like this counter lead running play, and I'm kind of like leading through the hole like I'm a fullback, and the play is working. But I sit down on the sideline after like a drive where we ran like 3 times, and I'm like, what the am I doing with my life? I'm out here playing fullback. I don't even want to do this anymore. And I'm just like looking at the moon. It's like early first quarter, second.
Head coach Brian DeBole had forced Waller to serve as a lead blocker instead of utilizing his pass-catching abilities. The Giants used him like a fullback on 3 consecutive running plays against the Buffalo Bills. That was the exact moment Waller decided his NFL career was over.
First quarter, second quarter, nobody else would really even know that I'm thinking this, but I'm on the sideline like, yep, I'm going to finish this year with the best of my ability, but I'm definitely done playing after this year. And that was the only time I played in Buffalo.
In that 14-9 loss to Buffalo, Waller caught 5 passes for 43 yards on 7 targets. The Giants dropped to 1-5 with the defeat. More importantly, they had just destroyed the career of one of the NFL's most talented tight ends. The Giants were already aware of Waller's injury history with hamstring issues. They knew about his past drug problems and suspensions. He spent his first 2 NFL seasons with the Baltimore Ravens before being suspended for the first 4 games of 2016 and the entire 2017 season for violating the league's substance abuse policy. Despite all these red flags, the Giants wasted a valuable 3rd-round draft pick. Waller's retirement saved them $11.6 million on their salary cap, but the damage was already done. Before the Giants' disaster, Waller was one of the NFL's elite tight ends. The Raiders signed him off the Ravens practice squad during the 2018 season. This move transformed both Waller's career and the Raiders' offense. From 2019 to 2020, Waller produced back-to-back 1,100-yard receiving seasons. In 2020, he earned a Pro Bowl selection with league-leading numbers among tight ends, 107 catches for 1,196 yards and 9 touchdowns. His 2019 to 2020 combined statistics were absolutely dominant, 197 receptions for 2,311 yards and 12 touchdowns. During this period, Waller emerged as a star who was vocal about overcoming his struggle with substance abuse. He used his platform to help others facing similar battles. The Raiders rewarded his performance with a 3-year, $51 million extension in 2022. However, Waller's production declined significantly after his peak years. He has not tallied more than 665 receiving yards in a season since 2020. Hamstring issues plagued him for 3 consecutive years, limiting his effectiveness and availability. The Dolphins' decision to pursue Waller came immediately after trading Jonnu Smith to Pittsburgh. Smith had just completed the best season by a tight end in Dolphins franchise history. He caught 88 passes for 884 receiving yards, both franchise records for the position. He also scored 8 receiving touchdowns, leading the team in that category. Smith earned his first Pro Bowl selection in 2024. Only 3 tight ends, Brock Bowers of the Las Vegas Raiders, Trey McBride of the Arizona Cardinals, and George Kittle of the San Francisco 49ers, ranked ahead of Smith in receiving yards last season. The 2017 third-round pick had previously played for the Tennessee Titans from 2017 to 20, New England Patriots from 2021 to 22, and Atlanta Falcons in 2023. Smith skipped Miami's offseason practices while searching for a new contract, which likely contributed to the trade decision. Now the Dolphins face a significant challenge. Their tight end room includes 8th-year journeyman Pharaoh Brown and 3rd-year player Julian Hill, who have a combined 90 receptions in their careers. They also have former undrafted free agents Tanner Connor, Hayden Rucci, and Jalen Conyers on the roster. Waller will compete with these players for the starting role in training camp, though he figures to be the favorite given his experience and proven ability. Waller joins an explosive Dolphins offense, featuring quarterback Tua Tagovailoa and elite receivers Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. This high-octane attack thrives on speed and versatility. Waller's size and receiving ability could provide a different dimension alongside the team's speedy weapons. The Dolphins have not relied heavily on tight end production in recent years. Since 2022, their tight end group ranks 27th in receptions.